Hello and welcome back to Figure Barn. Now today we're diving into a Funko Pop lineup that spans heartfelt teen dramas, unforgettable romance, twisted horror and comedy royalty. So whether you love John Hughes' high school angst, 80s cult horror or Eddie Murphy's legendary laughs, the pops we go through today bring another bunch of cinematic legends to life. We've got the classic coming of age charm of 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink. We've got the iconic romance of Say Anything, the eerie horror of Motel Hell and the hilarious grandeur of Coming to America. Now, whether you grew up watching these movies or are just discovering their timeless appeal, these Funko figures capture the essence of these unforgettable characters. So grab your boombox, throw on your best prom outfit, and maybe keep an eye out for suspicious motels, because we're about to break down these pops and the iconic moments that made their movies legendary. 16 Candles is a 1984 coming-of-age teen comedy that marked the directorial debut of John Hughes, who would go on to define the teen movie genre of the 1980s. The film stars Molly Ringwald as Samantha Baker, a high school sophomore whose family forgets her 16th birthday amid the chaos of her sister's wedding. As Sam navigates the emotional rollercoaster of adolescence, she deals with an unrequited crush on dreamy Jake Ryan and the awkward advances of a geeky freshman, Ted the Geek. Now, the movie was filmed in suburban Chicago and became a breakout hit, earning over $23 million at the box office on a modest $6.5 million budget. It also helped launch the careers of Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall and Michael Schofling. With its mix of humour, heartache and iconic 80s style, 16 Candles remains a cultural milestone and a defining film of its era. So along with the pops from Ferris Bueller's Day Off and The Breakfast Club that we showcased in our last video, this is the second wave of figures that we've had from 16 Candles. An original 4 were released all the way back in 2015 of Samantha, Jake, Ted the Geek and Long Duck Dong, but the 2 that we have today are from this year and are part of a wider set of about 13 that were released in 2025 that all cover various John Hughes movies. And starting off, we have Samantha Baker, now played by Molly Ringwald. Samantha is the quintessential 80s teen heroine. She's awkward, introspective, and quietly hopeful. On what should be a milestone birthday, her sweet 16, Sam feels invisible as her family forgets the occasion entirely. She's caught between the chaos of adolescence and the desire to be seen, especially by her crush, Jake Ryan. Now, Sam is relatable in her insecurities, often comparing herself to others and doubting her worth. But she's also honest, kind and refreshingly real. Her dry wit and emotional vulnerability make her more than just a teen movie archetype. She's the heart of the actual film. Through the ups and downs of high school drama, Sam's journey is about self-worth, growing up and finding unexpected moments of connection. So this pop is from right at the end of the movie, as Sam is at her sister's wedding, dressed in the pink bridesmaid dress that you can see here. Now, they've done a good job of sort of layering the dress at the bottom there, although they haven't quite captured the essence of the puffed sleeves as they were in the movie. It's got some nice detail on the headdress with the pink, blue and purple flowers on the white band there, which also match the bouquet in her hand. And you can also see that Sam is her sister's bridal veil that she retrieves from the church at the front of her dress there, which is sort of sculpted in this translucent white vinyl. It does sort of look like it's floating a bit, but if you look at the glam on the box down in the corner, it's clear that she is supposed to be holding it, but they haven't quite got the sculpting right on those. After passing on multiple ideas over the years, Ringwald revealed in 2005 that she'd finally read a 32 Candles script that she did like, and even expressed an interest in starring. 20 years on from that, there's still no news of it actually happening, and we'd be up to about 52 Candles by now, so she's going to start needing to think about a bigger cake. And next we have the love interest, Jake Ryan. Now, Jake, played by Michael Schofling, is the quiet, confident high school senior who becomes the object of Samantha's affection. On the surface, he's the classic 80s heartthrob, he's handsome, he's popular, and he's dating the most sought-after girl in school. But beneath that polished exterior, Jake is thoughtful and surprisingly introspective. Unlike the typical jock stereotype, Jack notices Sam's quiet charm and becomes intrigued by her sincerity and her vulnerability. His iconic red Porsche and the unforgettable final scene that this pop is based on, which is him waiting outside the church to give Sam the birthday she thought everyone had forgotten, cemented his status as a romantic icon of 80s cinema. So as I say, this is from the same scene as the Samantha pop right at the end of the movie, where he shows up in his Porsche 944, appearing behind the other guests leaving and just giving this iconic wave while the other hand remains in his pocket. As you can see, he's got the patterns working across his grey woolen tank top over the similar coloured shirt, and they've done a good job of capturing the heavy blow-dried sweatback hair as well. well. Now apart from that, he's in a fairly standard pair of blue jeans and the very 80s turn-ups at the bottom there. Black shoes and a nice little bit of detail with his watch and the black strap on his left wrist as he waves there as well. Those 16 Candles made him one of Hollywood's most in-demand young stars. Michael Schoflin stepped away from acting after 1991's Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. According to most reports, he settled down in Virginia with his wife and children, choosing a quieter life as a carpenter rather than the spotlight. Now continuing with Molly Ringwald and John Hughes, Pretty in Pink from 1986 is a beloved teen romantic comedy drama written by Hughes and directed by Howard Deutsch. It stars Ringwald as Andy Walsh, a smart, independent high school senior from a working class background who falls for Blaine, a wealthy classmate played by Andrew McCarthy. Their budding romance is complicated by social cliques, peer pressure, and the unspoken feelings of Andy's quirky best friend, Ducky, played by John Cryer. Now the film explores themes of class divide, identity, and self-worth, all wrapped in iconic 80s fashion and a legendary soundtrack, featuring hits like If You Leave by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. Now the film, named after a song by the Psychedelic Furs, Pretty in Pink became a cult classic and a defining entry in the Brat Pack era of teen films. And here we have our main protagonist, Andy Walsh. Now Andy, as I say, played by Molly Ringwald, is a smart, creative high school senior known for a bold thrift store fashion and a strong sense of individuality, which sets her apart from her wealthy classmates. Now Andy works at a record store and is close to her quirky best friend Ducky, who secretly loves her. Despite her confidence, she struggles with self-doubt, especially when she falls for Blaine, who's a rich student who challenges the social divide. Through it all, Andy stays true to herself, becoming an enduring symbol of resilience and 80s teen empowerment. And in this pop, she's wearing her prom dress, which she makes herself, combining the elements of her friend Iona's vintage gown and another charity shop find. Now, similar to the movie title, it's a pretty pale pink, polka-dotted satin dress with the halter neckline. It's got the cut-out shoulders, puffed sleeves that, again, Funko seems to struggle with, and the lace detailing around the top there as well. Now, she's got the matching shoes and the clutch bag as well, all in the pink. Plus, you can see there's just a small gold-banded watch on her right wrist there as well. Now, they've also done a good job of capturing Andy's red hair, with the fringe just coming down on one side of the forehead. Molly Ringwald wasn't a fan of Andy Walsh's prom dress. She admitted it made her cry when she first saw it, saying it wasn't really what she'd envisioned for the character. Though she's come to appreciate its uniqueness over time, she did once joke that if Andy was meant to be a fashion designer, then maybe she should have pursued something else. And naturally next would be Andy's best friend, Ducky Dale. Now Ducky, played by John Cryer, is Andy's eccentric, fiercely loyal best friend with an eye for vintage fashion and dramatic flair. Quirky, quick-witted and hopelessly in love with Andy, Ducky hides his feelings behind his humour and his over-the-top antics, like lip-syncing Otis Redding in the record store. Though he's jealous of Blaine, Andy's love interest, Ducky ultimately proves his heart by encouraging her to follow her own path. Now with his thrift store style, emotional vulnerability and unforgettable charm, Ducky became a bit of a symbol of the lovable underdog. So with the amount of layers that Ducky's actually wearing here, it almost reminds me of Joey Tribbiani when he put on all of Chandler's clothes in Friends.
Could I be wearing any more clothes?
But anyway, he's dressed here in his signature grey blazer, layered over a checkered waistcoat, vest there, and a crisp white shirt. It's all finished off with the bolo tie, and even has the brooch on his right lapel as well. Now for the shoes on this one, they've gone for the black and white Converse, rather than the plain white brogues that he also wears in some of the movie. And you can also see there that he's wearing his dark round sunglasses, the black hat with the grey band, and the tousled hair just sticking out from underneath for a final bit of 80s flair. Now John Cryer rose to fame as Ducky in Pretty in Pink. Then he found lasting success as Alan Harper in 2.5 Men, earning him 2 Emmys. In a fun nod to this past, he even dressed as Ducky for a Halloween episode of 2.5 Men, which sort of marked a full circle moment, proving that Ducky's charm never really left. So as the pink prom dress fades into memory and Andy Walsh walks off with her head held high, we leave the world of high school cliques and class divides behind. Now we step into the summer after graduation, where mixtapes, boomboxes, and bold declarations of love take centre stage. Enter Say Anything, where romance isn't about fitting in, but standing outside your crush's window with Peter Gabriel blasting into the night. Now Say Anything from 1989 is a landmark teen romantic drama, written and directed by Cameron Crowe in his feature debut. The film features Lloyd Dobler, played by John Cusack, as an underachieving but endlessly optimistic high school grad who falls for Diane Court, the brilliant and reserved class valedictorian. Now, set in Seattle during the summer of graduation, their unlikely romance unfolds against a backdrop of looming adulthood and family complications, most notably Diane's father being investigated for financial fraud. Now, the film became iconic for its emotional honesty, sharp dialogue, and that unforgettable scene of Lloyd holding the boombox above his head, blasting Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. It redefined the teen rom-com with sincerity and soul, earning critical acclaim and a lasting place in pop culture. And that iconic scene is recreated here with Lloyd Dobler. So naturally, the dominant figure on this pop is the boombox, which after a bit of research turns out to be a Toshiba RT SX1, if anybody was looking to pick one up. Now, in the movie he's holding this above his head, but when you're a Funko with a head this size, that's always going to be a little bit tricky to sculpt, so Lloyd's just sort of holding it here. Now, it's a bit of a shame because it does cover up his white t-shirt, which had the Clash on it, but he still has his trademark double-breasted khaki coloured raincoat, the black sweatpants there, and there's a nice bit of detail with the red and white Nike high tops as well with the black Velcro straps. At his 2012 Hollywood Bowl concert, just before performing In Your Eyes, Peter Gabriel brought out a surprised guest, which was John Cusack. Carrying the boombox, Cusack stepped on stage, handed it to Gabriel with a respectful bow, and Gabriel raised it briefly above his head in a loving tribute to the movie moment before launching into the song. So, from heartfelt boombox serenades to smoked meat and sinister secrets, we leave behind the tender sincerity of Say Anything and veer completely off the highway into something far darker. Welcome to Motel Hell, where love isn't in the air, but something far more disturbing might be looming in the smokehouse. Now, Motel Hell from 1980 is a comedy horror film directed by Kevin Connor. It stars Rory Calhoun as Farmer Vincent, a seemingly friendly motel owner who, along with his sister Ida, secretly traps travellers and turns them into smoked meats sold at his roadside business. The motel's neon sign famously flickers to read Motel Hell, setting the tone for its twisted satire. Now, originally intended as a straight horror film, it evolved into a darkly comic send-up of slasher tropes, poking fun at movies like Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. With its bizarre premise, offbeat humour, and cult status, Motel Hell carved out a unique place in 80s horror history. So this is the first and only figure that we have for Motel Hell, and is Vincent Smith. Now, Vincent is the twisted farmer from Motel Hell who dons a grotesque pig's head in one of the film's most infamous scenes. Now, wearing a bloody butcher's apron and wielding a roaring chainsaw, Vincent becomes a nightmarish parody of the rural butcher, his pig mask turning him into a literal predator in his own food chain. Now, the image is both absurd and terrifying, cementing his place in cult horror history. Now, it's not just a disguise, it's also a symbol of how far he's blurred the line between man, monster, and meat. So I do like my horror pops, and this seems like a fairly random one for Funko to come out with, but it is fairly well detailed. He's got the pig mask on with the brown stripe of hair down the centre, and the blood spatters from the scene where he duels chainsaws with his police officer brother Bruce, who's oblivious to what Vincent's up to. Now, his chainsaw's also covered in blood, and he has his denim dungarees over the top of his red and black lumberjack style shirt and the black work boots. And if we look at the back of the box, you can see the motel sign there as well, with the non-working O of hello, making it seem a little less hospitable as a destination. And for our final movie of today, and the last two pops, we move from horror to an absolute 80s comedy classic. Now, Coming to America in 1988 is a beloved comedy directed by John Landis and starring Eddie Murphy at the height of his fame. Murphy plays Prince Akeem Jaffer, the crown prince of the fictional African nation of Zamunda, who travels to Queens, New York, in search of a bride who will love him for who he is, not just his royal status. The film was a major box office hit and became a cultural milestone, celebrated for its sharp humour, memorable characters, many played by Murphy and Arsenio Hall in multiple roles, and its blend of fairy tale romance with fish out of water comedy. It also marked a milestone in Hollywood for its predominantly black cast and its success in mainstream cinema. Now, a sequel, Coming to America, with the two spelt as a two, was released in 2021, which reunited much of the original cast and introduced a new generation to Zamunda's royal family. So there was a set of 4 Coming to America pops that were released back in 2018, and we've picked up 2 of those by chance and at a great price as well off Whatnot. Now, I'd like to make a big shout out to the Funko Turk, who had these as part of his personal collection until I managed to take them off his hands. Now, he's a nice guy and a top Whatnot seller, so I'd recommend that you look him up and follow his Whatnot channel if you are looking for any reliable sellers and an awesome selection of pops. And where else to start than with Prince Akeem. Now, Prince Akeem, heir to the throne of Zamunda, is a charming, idealistic royal who seeks true love beyond the wealth and tradition. Now, despite being raised in luxury, he yearns for authenticity and chooses to travel incognito to Queens in New York. Now, intelligent, kind, and humble, Akeem hides his royal identity in pursuit of someone who will love him for who he is and not just his title. His journey is both comedic and heartfelt, revealing his strong moral compass and deep respect for others. Now, Akeem's blend of innocence, dignity, and genuine warmth make him one of Eddie Murphy's most beloved characters. So Prince Akeem here is the epitome of regal extravagance with a little 80s flair as well. He's got his dark grey suit and the matching overcoat there, as you can see, with the lighter grey fur overthrow sort of draped across his shoulders. His hat's also a matching sort of grey fur with a silver badge or crest there on the right hand side as well. Now, over the top of the overcoat as well, you can just about see the large royal gold medallion chain around his neck, which looks like it also has pieces of coral as well between the gold. Under that, you can also just about see the red tie and the pinstriped red, white and blue shirt that he wears as well as he arrives in Queens. Now, interestingly as well, there's no hands at all on this pop, with them well and truly hidden under the overcoat, I'd guess. Now, it's not really an Eddie Murphy related fact, but it's a fun one anyway from Coming to America. James Earl Jones and Madge Sinclair, the king and queen of Zamunda, also voiced Mufasa and Sarabi, who were the king and queen of Disney's The Lion King. And our final pop of today's showcase is Akeem's loyal friend and confidant, Semi. Now, played by Arsenio Hall, Semi is witty, sarcastic, and hilariously unimpressed with life in Queens. Now, born into privilege like Akeem, Semi struggles to adapt into his undercover lifestyle, constantly yearning for the luxuries of Zamunda. Though self-assured and often exasperated, he provides the comedic balance to Akeem's idealism. Now, despite his grumbling, Semi proves a loyal companion, standing by Akeem through culture shocks, mishaps, and his romantic misadventures. His expressive reactions, over-the-top flair, and quick wit make him the perfect sidekick in this fish-out-of-water tale. So this is from the same scene as the Prince Akeem pop, shortly after they arrive in New York. Now, Semi's also dressed in a similarly flamboyant display of Zamundan luxury in his large grey overcoat, which has the intricate sort of black detailing around the lapels and the cuffs, and the matching hat, which again has the black scrolling, as you can see they've picked up on here around the rim. His shiny leather gloves have a bit of a nice detail to them with a stitching along the back, and you can also see some of the finer detail in the paisley design on his red and blue tie there, over the top of his plain white shirt. Now, he's also suitably unprepared for the gritty reality of New York life, with the large amount of regal gold that goes across one of his shoulders and down to his waist, and he's also got the large earring there shown in his ear. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 Coming to America figures that were released, plus the pure gold variant of the Prince Akeem pop that we showed off earlier. Now, still to pick up are the Funko Shop exclusive Randy Watson, which the price seems to vary on wildly from around £40 up to about £130. So what's that? $55 to $175. And there's also a Target exclusive of Akeem in his McDowell's uniform, which seems a lot more reasonable at around £25 or $35. Now, if we find them at the right price, I'll be sure to let you all know. And that's a wrap on another stroll through 80s pop culture perfection. From forgotten birthdays in 16 Candles and prom night angst in Pretty in Pink, to heartfelt boombox tributes in Say Anything, twisted hospitality in Motel Hell, and the royal charm from Coming to America. These Funko Pops aren't just collectibles, they're snapshots of iconic moments and retro movie gold. Now, if you enjoyed this trip through 80s icons and cult favourites, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss any Funko hunts, reviews, or movie showcases. If there's a favourite from today's showcase or any other characters from the world of film that you'd like to add to your collection, I'd really love to hear in the comments. But until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, there's always another story to tell. We'll catch you in the next one.